Hello folks, Jason Chrisman here, JC's Bees. Today what I'd like to do is continue on where we left off last week. If you remember correctly, last week I shared a video on small hive beetle damage in a honey super. This week what we're going to do is go ahead and prepare to make our mead. So the first step is going to be extracting our honey. Now before we continue with this video, I know a lot of you are waiting for results on the staghorn, sumac, and varroa mite video. That's coming in the next couple of weeks. That video, there's a lot of different information and a lot of different videos that I have to get edited and put all into one. So look for that in the next couple of weeks. But for today, let's extract some honey. Okay folks, to begin with, to extract honey, you're going to need an uncapping tank. And if you don't have one and you're in the market for one, before you go buy one, check out my homemade version. And this is it. I got a video on it, and I'm going to link it up in the corner and down in the video description. So don't go buy one, save your money, and possibly consider building this. After you get your uncapping tank, you're going to lay your frame of honey from the edge of the uncapping tank over to the center support board. And either using a serrated knife, an uncapping fork, or an electric uncapping knife, we need to remove the cappings so the honey is able to flow out of this frame as it's being extracted. Now, I will tell you that if you had the choice of using this to do the whole frame or using the knife as much as possible, I think that's the route I would go, and here's why. This uncapping fork does a great job, but if you push down in on the fork too hard, you're going to destroy the cells of the frame. What that's going to do is cause more work for the bees. Another thing it does is as you're using this to rip the cappings off, is it makes these little wax caps little tiny particles, which in turn causes a lot more filtering to get all the wax particles out of the honey. So try the serrated knife and then use this where you have to. Basically just going to lay it across the top of the comb and only try and cut off the cappings. Some places might stick up a little higher. You want to try and raise your knife up with those and not cut too deep into the cell. If you do cut deep into the cell, it's not a major issue. The bees can fix it. But at that point, you've done cut down into the cell so much that there's not going to be much honey in it. It's going to be all over the knife and all over the top of the frame. And you're probably going to end up scraping most of it into the uncapping tank to filter. You see how you're able to get these great big pieces off with the knife? That's a huge advantage in the filtering process. Might take a little longer, sure. I could see that, but you'll get quicker at it the more you do. It's only about 78 degrees in this room right now. I know we woke up to about 40 degrees, 45 degrees this morning, and been waiting for the sun to get over the trees and on this room so I could get this done. Okay, so now I'll take the uncapping knife or fork and go back and rip open the cells that I didn't get. Flip the frame over, do the same on the other side. And I go back and take these cappings off. After you get this completely uncapped on both sides, you stick it in the extractor and you go until the extractor's full. Grab your next frame and move on. So I'm going to finish this and keep on trucking till we get the extractor full. Now one way I would like to real quickly I'd like to demonstrate one way you can use the uncapping knife. Real quickly I'd like to demonstrate one way that you can use the uncapping fork without having all the wax cappings run out of the extractor. What you would do, and this is just a demonstration because all my honey's been extracted, but instead of running the uncapping fork and scratching the caps off, what you would do is simply take the fork, get it down underneath the caps, slide it across, lift up a big section of capping, and then rub it on the side of your uncapping tank. And you would do that same process all the way around. Just keep going underneath the capping, lifting, pulling it off and scraping. Slide underneath the capping, lift it off, scrape it off in your uncapping tank. So if this is your only method, that would be a way of keeping the particles to a minimum at the very least. Okay, so I've got 6 medium frames in my extractor ready to be extracted. I've got 5-gallon bucket, and I've got a double sleeve strainer. Very, very awesome strainer filter setup. It's 2 different courses. We've got a very coarse strainer at the top and a very fine strainer at the bottom. And these arms, which help it sit on a 5-gallon bucket. So this will go under my honey gate, and I'll put my lid on, and we will slowly start to extract. Now I do want to mention, I have leg bolts going down into the floor on all 3 legs. That helps keep this stable. Now, if that is not an option, what you can do is get you a 4x8 pallet or a skid. Bolt your extractor, or maybe even put you a piece of plywood on top of the skid, and then bolt your extractor down to that, and then you stand on it while you're extracting. That's another simple way you can do it. So what we're going to do now is begin extracting, like I said, real nice and slow. Okay, so at this current time, the super has been extracted. I need to let the strainer do its job and strain some of that wax before I can open my honey gate again. There's still a couple inches of honey in there. But at this time, I can take this super outside and let the bees rob any leftover honey. I want to make sure and keep it at least 100 yards from my colonies. And it's ideal to keep something under it if you want to keep all of your wax. And it's probably a good idea to keep something under it and catch the wax regardless whether you want it, because to just throw the wax on the ground, you're going to create a major small hive beetle issue, and that's not what you need. That's what got me into this situation. So here we go, time to open feed. So the way I'm going to do it is I've got this small chest freezer that I need to get rid of. It don't work anymore. It's just sitting outside my building here, my shop. So I'm going to set it on top of there in the upright position like so. I've kind of opened up the frames a little bit so they can get in there nice and easy. I imagine this breeze blowing up through my hill here and blowing through here It's not going to be long, and the traffic's going to be hot. Now the trickiest part for this for me is having the bee yard just right outside the door. Over there's my nuke yard. Up here in these cedar trees, you might be able to see the end of one of the hives. That's the 3 hives I traditionally do some of my intros and outros of my videos in front of. So the difficulty in extracting honey this close to this many hives is making sure the room is sealed off nice and tight. This is actually my front porch. So what I've done up here along the trusses is I've taken and screened those areas off, and every single one. And then at the top where the metal roofing is, you can see I put some great stuff foam in that little diblet that goes up. And it's taken a lot of time and effort to get this bee proof. Another thing that I found handy is when you're extracting, if you spray the outside, well, if I spray the outside of this room with some honeybee gone, the smell from this kind of overcomes the smell of the fresh honey that I'm extracting. So just another handy tip. And I also have noticed to try and keep things very clean. So now that I'm done with the encapping tank, I've already taken a hot washcloth and wiped this off. I've wiped this rim off all the way around. I need to do a better job here. But I need to get this contained under a lid so that the smell cannot drift. So there we go. That's contained for now. We've got this over here. Still filtering out. There's still a good bit in here, as you can see. So we've got to let that filter down some more. And at this point, it's been about maybe 5 minutes since I've taken this super outside. Let's go check on it and see how many bees have found it, if any. It's firewood season. I've been working on that. Oh, we do got bees on it already. So within 5 minutes, I see 1. There's 3 flying around. So there's 4. There's a yellow jacket. You're going to have the yellow jackets and the hornets, but it is what it is. I imagine next 45 minutes this will be completely covered in bees. Completely. Now, when I first started beekeeping, these double-sleeved strainers that I've got here ran about $40. But in the last year, I noticed you can get them for about $26. So since I'm tight with my money, I decided that since they were half price, or almost half price, I'd go ahead and get one. And I'll tell you, it's been well worth the money. But what I used to use, that only cost a couple bucks, was this. And this is a bucket strainer. It's for paint. You can get them at Lowe's. Imagine TSC would probably have them. They sell paint. But this goes down in the bucket. I think it's like 600 microns. Works very well. Not quite as well as and handy as this, because this sits across the top of the bucket and doesn't actually hang down in the honey as where this is going to. Now what you could do, and what I've always tried to do, is try to keep it tight across the top of the bucket, but it seems as you get more weight on it, it just stretches, and it's kind of cumbersome to mess with, but it does work. Another option I've used in the past is these funnels. And these have a little 600 micron filter on the bottom of them. And you just hang them underneath. Now, like I said, they're kind of cumbersome too because they're just so small. Once the filter gets plugged up, you've got to shut the honey gate. So, I tell you what, for the 25, 26 bucks, well worth the money, folks. Well worth the money. If you're interested in one of these, I've got it linked down in the video's description. And if you're an Amazon Prime member, you could have it in less than 2 days. So it's been about 35, 40 minutes. Robbing it out. When they're done, this will be all completely dry comb. It's been about an hour and a half now. Okay folks, it's day 2 on the extraction. Now I did have to relocate this super just because we were stacking some firewood this morning and not everybody was comfortable with all the traffic of bees flying around. But at this point, there's not any traffic. The bees have completely ate everything in these frames that was left. And here's what I was telling you about having a solid surface for the bees to clean on. This is all wax cappings. A little yellow jacket. So we'll want to keep that. One thing you wouldn't want to do for sure is say, that ain't very much wax, and just sweep it off on the ground, because well, that's just an imitation for hive beetles, and that's how I got in this situation. So, just real quickly, let's look at these frames and see what they look like. Nice and dry. Everything looks good. Oh, we got Mr. Hornet here. Actually, looking at them markings, that could potentially be a queen. I'm not real familiar with the markings on hornets. I know, see that white spot there? Or the white area on its butt? On a yellow jacket, if it had dots in each one of those white squares, yeah, that would be a queen. But in this case, I don't know, and I'm not really a fan of big old hornets. So, boy, look at that big honking thing. There we go. We'll just trap it under there. It has to be a queen. You compare their size, look. There, now they're both under there. There's another one there. So as you can tell, a little bit of everything's been eaten at these. There's another one. But they're completely dried up now, and it's up to me to get this ready to be stored. And I want to make sure I do that in a fashion where wax moths aren't moving in and destroying everything. Just because there isn't enough for bees doesn't mean wax moths or hive beetles may move in again. You don't know. So you want to do your best part to keep it protected, and go ahead and get this put away for next year.